Israel has struck another hospital in Gaza. At least 20 people were killed in the strikes on Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza, according to Gaza's health ministry. 5 journalists, including a contractor for Reuters and one for Al Jazeera, were among the dead. Several countries have come out to condemn the attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the deaths a tragic mishap that Israel deeply regrets. The military says the incident is being investigated.
The IDF does not intentionally target civilians. The IDF makes every effort to mitigate harm to civilians while ensuring the safety of our troops. Any incident that raises concern in this regard is addressed by the relevant mechanisms in the IDF.
This as the desperation in Gaza grows. A UN-backed report has found that famine is occurring in parts of Gaza and is likely spreading. Canada has responded to that report, saying Israel is not doing enough to stop the starvation in Gaza. Randeep Sarai is the Secretary of State for International Development, and he joins me now. Nice to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Well, JP, thank you for having me, and it's always a pleasure to be on your show.
I want to start with the Israeli airstrike on a Gaza hospital today. At least 19 people are dead, including 5 journalists. The IDF has confirmed that the strikes took place, but they say they did not intentionally target those civilians. It said Hamas caused the conditions that led to those deaths. What's your reaction to that, sir?
Look, it's a catastrophe. I think it's a really sad day. This is happening daily. From what I read every morning, civilians are being killed, whether seeking aid or going to the hospital. In this case, it was a very, what reports have shown, first hit, and then those going to rescue those that were hit by the hit were hit with a subsequent missile attack. So I think it's really sad. Journalists, healthcare workers, and those seeking aid seeking healthcare should not be ever persecuted. I think the government needs to do much better. The Israeli government in this regards. There's no reason for hospitals to be attacked in such a way, and it's reason why international agencies, governments, and the UN has been calling for more humanitarian relief, more protection of places like hospitals, and this is something that needs to be remedied immediately.
You've endorsed this new UN-backed report that says there are famine conditions in Gaza, and today you released a strongly worded statement blaming the Israeli government. You said Israel is, quote, an occupying power and it is failing to meet its obligations under international law. Why are you speaking out now?
Look, I've been speaking out since the day I've got this portfolio, and even before that as a member of parliament. I think what's happening there is completely preventable. I think humanitarian agencies need to be granted access immediately so that they can get aid in. The IPC is a very credible organization established in 2011. They've only declared 4 classified 5 famines, and this is the only one that's a completely preventable one. The world needs to act. We've been doing as much as we can, whether it's sanctions, whether it's statements, whether it's pressure, whether it's giving aid, having aid ready on the ground, providing any type of aid that is allowed in, including some ones that are a little controversial, like airdrops. But we're doing whatever we can to get aid into the Gaza territory as people are starving every day. Hundreds of thousands of children are about to die of famine, of starvation. There's wasting happening. There's stunted growth happening. It's a humanitarian catastrophe, and it's a very sad day. And my statements are just echoing what everyone feels about Canadians are feeling as a whole.
Israel says the authors of that UN report on the famine in Gaza have been manipulated by Hamas. Israel maintains it has been providing sufficient food. It has done some airdrops, as you say, into the territory. It's allowed thousands of aid trucks into the territory, and it has helped facilitate some community kitchens to feed residents. That's what the Israeli government is saying. What do you say to their defense?
Well, look, there hasn't been. When they say thousands of trucks have come in, they need 500 to 600 a day just to survive. That is the bare essential need, and there's at the moment barely 100 or hundreds in plural going in, and they're also going in a manner that is causing severe civilian deaths where they're being brought to certain focal points only, and then hundreds and hundreds of civilians have been shot and killed. I think one of the largest amount of humanitarian workers that have lost their lives has been in this region in the last 22 months. So, no, the aid is not getting to where it's needed. It's not getting in the amount that it's to be brought in, and the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that's trying to do it is doing it in an incorrect way, and that's not just from Canada or the UK or France saying. That's every single humanitarian organization in the world that does this. Their expertise has said this is the wrong way, and this is not the right way to do it, and it must be stopped. And a fair and equitable way is the only way that humanitarian aid has to be brought in, and that's been our goal, and that's been our focus, is to allow safe, reliable aid to be brought in impartially to feed those that are most vulnerable and most in need.
Yeah, Israel says it's gone to, quote, unprecedented lengths to enable aid to go into enemy territory. So you're telling me that's not what you're seeing from your vantage point?
Absolutely not. I've done a very conscientious decision to meet all humanitarian organizations, whether they're based in Canada, or whether they're multilateral or global or united at the UN. I've met with all of them, and quite frankly, unless they're great manipulators, they've all had the exact same statements of exactly what is happening on the ground, what's happening to their humanitarian aid workers, and how it is being prevented, and how the current aid that is being sent in, how wrong it is and how dangerous it is. So I think they're they're all on one page. They've all been very clear, and I think we in the last decades and hundreds of years have really respected these humanitarian organizations for the work they do. They've done it in very dangerous territories before, and we must support them and respect them, and we do. And unfortunately, the Israeli government has not respected their neutrality or their humanitarian aid work, and has blocked it and set up their own organization instead.
You mentioned the IPC, this organization that works with the UN on food issues, and in their report they detail that they estimate about 500,000 Gazans are experiencing famine right now, a quarter of the population, just a staggering figure. You said today with me now and in your statement earlier that you're going to do whatever you can to, quote, alleviate the suffering. You're going to try to get aid in there to help. What exactly do you have planned to try and help the folks out who are in famine conditions?
Look, we've Prime Minister Anand just was in the region. She's announced another 30 million in humanitarian aid for it. We've worked with our Jordanian counterparts to help facilitate. They've attempted to negotiate a slight ease to have airdrops brought in. We're one of those aspects. One of the openings in the corridor was being negotiated. I'm still optimistic and hopeful that the Israeli government in their negotiations will allow that access, unimpeded access for that aid to go in. So I think it's everything's on the table. We're doing every and all means to get aid in, talking to the Egyptians, the Jordanians, the Israelis themselves, our American counterparts, British, French, and others to put the pressure on to allow that aid to go in, and we'll continue to keep working and plugging away. That's my job, and that's my role, is to make sure that Canadian humanitarian assistance gets to those that are most vulnerable and most needy. And in this case, it's Gazans that are facing an unprecedented, preventable famine.
All right, let's leave it there. Randeep Sarai, Secretary of State for International Development. Nice to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you.